Giving you story after story, everything is true. Some things are kinda scary, so what you gonna do? Cause that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes we spit scripture, line upon line, not discussing wickedness, but what is divine. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tales from the Sipp, episode 38. Yes, sir. I know you seen the title. Jailhouse Preacher, #1. Now, I'm sure many of you that have run across some of these guys before that's been locked up in jail, and then you get to somewhat talking about the scripture and everything. Not talking about somebody to just get out, because you got those too. They get out, and then, they did all this and that. But then when they get out, yeah, I changed my life, and this and that. And then you find out after they be out for a couple months, they back to their old ways. Nah, this ain't what I'm talking about. This is a dude that I met while I was in jail. I was doing 6 months at the time, and I met this dude. I met a few of them. One of them, I think I'll tell you about it the next episode. It was, yeah, back to the story. Let's get into it. So at the time, this was in the 90s, and you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was doing I had got my time, and I ended up, you know what I'm saying? I was doing 6 months in jail and a big fine too. Anyway, I was locked up. So I met this dude, man. The dude, man, when you looked at him, you'll think he was older than what he really is. The dude was maybe 40 years old, man, but he looked like he was about 60. Black dude too. He was short and he was skinny. Now, I met this dude in there, and on the outside, the man was a preacher and everything. Some may say he was a pastor somewhat, but I don't know. Now, I heard this dude before, but you gonna see this is strange situation happen. Now, even though I was kind of crooked character back then, like I said, I grew up in the church. And this dude, when I met him, let me finish describing this dude. You wonder why I said this man was about 40 and he looked like he was about 60. The man had a hairline. UFC George Jefferson. His hairline was worse than George Jefferson. And then it was real thin, kind of thin and ate outish, you know what I'm saying? And his whole head was gray, face was gray. Man, I thought that dude was way older than what he was. But he wasn't. But the thing is, the man was a preacher. So we get up in there, you know what I'm saying? We sitting up in the cell. I always read the scripture, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, I grew up in the church. Even though I was out being a crooked such and such, I still always read the scripture. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while. Well, it was every day, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't live by it. But I already read it. So I get up in there with him. It was him and another Caucasian dude. You know what I'm saying? We sit around, talk all the time, talk about the scripture. and the Bible and everything. I'll tell you, talk about different subjects. Then you talking to this dude, you thinking, hey man, this really this really is you know, why they got this dude in here? He one of them types. If you sitting around talking to him, you like, what they got this dude in here for? This dude in here, man, you know what I'm saying? This is a righteous fella, you know what I'm saying? This a righteous cat, you know what I'm saying? But he was, was in there. So you ask him, hey man, what you in here for? He say, man, he was in there for he had a bunch of uh tickets and he fooling around, got caught up in some such and such. He wouldn't explain. But I said, oh, okay, whatever, whatever. At the same time, the man be talking about the violence stuff. If you mention something about a woman, yeah, then it come out of him. Come out of him then. He start talking about how, you know what I'm saying, he like messing around with older women and stuff. And how they this and that, do this and that. I'm the type of person, I can talk to you and figure some stuff out. I just listen to you talk and like, yeah, for real, man. Sure is, man. Like, hey. So we used to sit around, pray together, and study the scripture together. In the jailhouse I was in, you know what I'm saying? It was that old jailhouse. They didn't have no AC. They called it the dungeon back then. You know what I'm saying? Now they in the jail with the AC and all this and that. When I was down there, just got one fan blowing down the hallway. All them cells, you ain't getting no air up in there. But anyway, back to the story. Don't mean to chase rabbits. Yes, sir. So me and this dude sitting here one day, I go to saying something about some women again. There he go. He got, the more a person talk, and the more they feel comfortable, then you find out, they gone and let things out in the open. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, man, the woman you were messing with, you talking about doing all those strange things with. Cause he was talking, you know how people talk. I ain't gotta say it. I don't want to, do it. But he was talking about how this, it was an older woman. And how, this was, somebody near and dear to him and all this and that. So I was just listening to him. But guess what? Come to find out, the man wasn't telling the whole truth. You know why that dude was locked up, man? The jailhouse preacher, number one that I'm talking about. The dude that looked like he about 65, 70 years old and one about 40. The dude was in jail for jumping on a woman, beating her up. He stole a car and he had, you know what I'm saying? Man, that dude had lost his mind one day. I think she said something about she wanted to leave him because of the way he acted. But he was a preacher. That's crazy, ain't it? You never think a preacher would do that, man. Well, the preacher was locked up with me, wasn't he? He was in there for something. Yeah. Crazy. Old boy was a real piece of work, man. Man, he'll get to talking. Like I say, as long as you talk about the Bible, everything gravy. He's so righteous and holy. But then you fool around and somebody mentions something about a woman. Oh, yeah. Man, I even think that dude, he was, fooling around with little drugs too, though, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. That probably the reason he snapped that day and did all that to that woman. And she got him locked up. Yeah. It's crazy. Man, a lot of cats like that. You'll think they one way, but they really, you gotta test the spirit, man. Well, moral of the story is test the spirit. Don't trust everything somebody say, no matter how they appear to be, until you know the whole truth about them. You gotta prove a friend. Same way you don't believe everything somebody say. Because people say one thing, but they do another. Yeah, I had found that out a long time ago. Yes, sir. But that's episode 39. Tales Salakia. Episode 38. Tales from the Sipp. Jailhouse Preacher number 1. Be on the lookout for Tales from the Sipp. Episode 39. I think I'm going to talk about another jailhouse preacher. Well, we'll see. But until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace and blessings. And I'll see you next time. Yes, sir.
That's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes your boy may go way back in the day, talk about experiences and the games that he played. And that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Hey.